As the U.S. role in the world shifts from overt militarily to discreet diplomatically to covert, relying more and more on intelligence, one has only to look to the detention center at Guantanamo to gauge the fallout. New documents released this week to NPR and other news organizations showed how complicated it has become to take, hold, and classify detainees, or as they used to be called, prisoners of war. There is no longer anything conventional about any of this, is there, Tom?
That's right, Gwen. These Guantanamo detainees are prisoners of the war on terror, which is a very unconventional war. You're absolutely right. These guys constitute, to the extent there is an enemy in this war, these guys constitute the enemy. And what we got here were documents, detainee assessments of each of the roughly 800 men who have gone through Guantanamo. Summarizing, the assessments summarize what they told interrogators, what other detainees said about them, what it was they were doing that got them to Guantanamo in the first place, how they were captured. So what we've got, Guantanamo has been this kind of iconic institution. Now we have a much more individualized picture of these guys, 800 individual stories. They're not prisoners of war. They're not prisoners of war in two senses. One, they were not captured as soldiers wearing uniforms on a battlefield. They're sort of ordinary people in many cases.
They were not necessarily captured by U.S. forces.
Most of them were not. You're absolutely right. And the second thing, which is even more important, is they're not being held the way we used to hold German prisoners of war, just hold them. To keep them from going back. We held these guys in order to get information out of them. And I think one of the things that we learned from looking at these detainee assessments is how much uncertainty there was, even among U.S. intelligence officials, who these guys really were. Were they really dangerous? Were they really a threat? That's one of the things that comes through. We still don't know that. These assessments, about a third of them were ranked likely to pose a threat if released, but many of them got released anyway.
What happened to this idea of moving them to a facility in the U.S.?
Well, that's now against the law. It would be against the law if legislation favored by the Republicans, advances. There are only 172 left. About 47 of them are considered to be too difficult to prosecute, but too dangerous to let go. 36 roughly will be prosecuted. The remainder will be transferred. So we're talking about an ever smaller group. But you're right, 95% of the detainees at Guantanamo went there in 2002 and 2003. So these guys have been out of the fight already for 8 years.